Yeah, that's a nice drawing. It's really nice. All right, so what were you trying to achieve here is what I want to get first. What were you going for? Are you going for abstract? Are you going for illustration? Are you is it really I really like the style. Um I don't know exactly what you would call this. A little bit of both. Okay. All right. Is this what you were aiming for? Were you aiming for it to be like flat shapes with texture? It has like like a real like surreal feel to it too, which I like. I do like that. There's one piece that kind of throws me off, and I'll point that out right now, and it's this piece over here. Hold on a second. Let me get better color. It's this piece right over here. That kind of throws me off a little bit. Yeah. Because all the rest of them have this grain and texture that's almost like, but this piece over here doesn't really, it seems more solid. So it's like my eye is conflicting between this part and this part. Okay. Because I'm sure this is where you want your focus right here, is on the, is in this area right here in the house, uh, where the house is. You don't want it over here. But for some reason, this is drawing me as much as this is drawing me. So, yeah, I see the grass. Yeah, it's just because if you look like, say you look at it from far away, all right. If I blink my eyes and I open them, yes, I see the house and I see this, because of course white is gonna, is meant to draw your eyes, quickest. But I also see this. And one thing about drawings and paintings is are the things that doesn't seem quite right are the ones that draw your attention quicker. Like it doesn't seem like it quite fits in the piece, or it's kind of off. So yeah, so just kind of keep that in mind. Um, Now if you yeah, and I completely understand. Um, but because it doesn't have any like cohesiveness with the rest of it, because all the rest of them are pretty much the same, like the same shade. They each have, a little bit rough texture going on. And then you just have this one over here that it's kind of like the black sheep or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so let's go over the good stuff. Let's go over the good stuff, and then we'll get into breaking down the critique. I just wanted to point that out because that kind of drew me off. Um, all right, so we're going over. I want to go over the composition. It does have good composition. All right. Um, it. Let's see. Yeah, yeah. I like the way the sky fades back too. It doesn't compete with the front. Yeah, because that's one thing. You got a nice little uh, contrast going between the elements too. So that's good, especially like the house. One thing I would suggest, but once again, this is this is talking about your direction of what you were aiming towards. This is like this is just my suggestion on it, but that's just to fade things back, in the background, like fade them out a little bit more because those could actually be competing as well. Um, with the house, especially with the sharp edges. Yeah, the depth. Yeah. But again, it also depends on what style you're going for too. I don't know if you guys ever played or seen like Little Big Planet. It has kind of like that feel to me, which is cool. I dig it. I like it. But yeah, it really has that kind of feel, or like one of these 2D scrolling games. Um, so yeah, 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 I like it too. All right, so let's go over the composition. All right, so so let's see. All right, I'm gonna go over the different elements, the different principles of composition. All right, first thing I'm gonna cover is balance. Okay. Uh, does it have textures? Yes, it has textures. It has colors, forms, or shapes combined harmoniously. Yes. You got a form right here. You got a form right here. Form right here. Form. And they're they're not it's not bothersome. They each have their own different kind of shapes. You know. Um, so that doesn't really bother me. It's harmonious. It kind of leads the eye too, because you got this one, you know, and then this one, and then this one, and so on. So yeah, it kind of leads the eye. Plus, another thing I noticed is the fence kind of draws the eye to the house too. If it wasn't for this shape over here, then you know, um, my eye would be instantly drawn into this area right here. Okay. But yeah, so like you have the fence, and like I was touching on earlier, implied lines. Okay. Also with the grass up here, it's pointing to the house. Okay, along with the fence. Then also you have this shape right here that also draws the eye too, because it's harsh, like it's solid. Angles are always stronger, are pretty much always your strongest element. And then curves, and it's the ones that really uh, the ones that are really like direct, okay, or straight. Those are the ones that's gonna like grab your attention the most. The ones that have points, stuff like that. Okay. So of course, with the exception of the bottom left, of course this draws my attention. Of course this draws my attention because it has that sharpness. Okay. Plus it has like a unevenness too. So it's not, it's more balanced. All right. It's not like you don't have like the same, shape going on, You have this little part down here that balances it out. So that's good. All right. Another thing is contrast. Okay. Um, Contrast is the use of several elements of design to hold the viewer's attention and to guide the viewer's eye through the artwork. All right. So, so yeah, you have some good. Actually, you have a lot of contrast going on here. Maybe a little bit too much, but you do have some great contrast going on in this area of the house. Okay. If I move the image back, you can see the contrast with the black and the white, and that definitely draws my eye. All right. So anytime you have, sets of contrast like that, um, then that draws the eye immediately compared to anything else. All right. Same thing with the fence too. The fence has got some good contrast as well. It's got a generation. Um, so so yeah, and like with the shadow, with the fence and the shadows, right there you have good contrast as well. So all right. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey Darren. All right. So moving on to the next one, we got movement. Is the way the viewer's eye is directed to move. And basically, I already covered that because I talked about the movement, right? I talked about how, like like you got this one going here, like that, and there's movement all over the place. Okay. Uh, Moves often to areas of emphasis. You got your emphasis, your focal. Uh, Movement can be directed by lines. Like I just mentioned, contrasting shapes, or colors within the artwork. Our eye moves up through the pattern in the rippling surface of. Okay, this is talking about the image on here, not the one I'm demonstrating. All right, so we got that. We got that. Okay. All right, now emphasis. Emphasis created when a work of art, when the artist contrasts colors, textures, or shapes. All right. Yeah, I just went over that. You have your contrast going on. All right. Uh, but like I said, the thing is that you might have a little bit too much contrast going on. But it also depends on what you're aiming for, what kind of style, what kind of theme. So these are just principles. These aren't like law, like you have to follow it or anything because a lot of artists don't. This is just basically giving my, you know, opinion of it. Okay, so then we got pattern. It's a repetition of a shape, form, or texture. All right, so I went over that too. Uh, yeah, yeah. But it also, I don't know, for me, it makes it interesting though, because you have all this whimsiness going on. And then you have the house, that, I don't know, for me, that creates a good contrast right there because it's breaking away from, it's kind of giving you some like breathing room okay, let's just say if the house wasn't there, right? And you just had a bunch of hills doing a bunch of different stuff, right? Like you had the hills doing basically the same thing back, all the way going throughout the piece. Then there wouldn't be, and let's say you didn't have the fence, and you didn't have the house, and you didn't have the tree. There would be a constant repetitiveness going on, but there wouldn't be nowhere to rest your eyes. You see what I'm saying? With the house being there and the fence and the tree, there's places to rest your eye in the piece. So you're not getting overwhelmed by, this wouldn't be too overwhelming if you just left the hills, in my opinion. But because you have the house, you have something to fix the viewer's eye on. Okay. And then like the fence and the tree. So that's how I see it anyway. So it's pleasing to the eye. It's pleasing to the eye. So all right. Now let's see proportion. Yeah, no problem. Proportion is created when the sizes of elements in a work of art are combined harmoniously. Let's see. Okay. So, yeah, so you got different sizes, different elements, right? So that's good. So you got like the fence is a different size, the house is a different size, the tree is a different size. So yeah, you got that harmoniousness going on. Even the hills are, somewhat different sizes. I mean, yeah, you got the harmonious going on with the proportion, and like the same thing that I said about the house too. Um, you have this, and then you have this. Okay, see, so it breaks it up. You don't have like two of these or two of these, so that's good. And then of course you have the fence. Maybe if you put like more like shape difference on the fence, like say like you made this one, you know, like say if you made them uneven, kind of like that, it would probably add a little bit more proportion as far as composition is concerned. So see what I'm saying? Or even if you made one tall, or maybe even like start one tall and then do one the next size and the next size and the next size, and then they get smaller as they work their way down the hill. Plus, that's a good way to leave the eye too, because you're it's basically like a domino effect. If you made these to the point where they were just like really really tiny, it's like it's leading the eye more to the house. If you were just following the fence as it is now, it kind of keeps your eye right there. That's if you were just following the fence. Um, does that make sense? And see, if you just fixed your eye on this, on the fence itself, see everything's even. Yeah, it does have a repetitiveness, which is good, but for proportion, if you actually, you know, made like a pattern, like an unevenness pattern, it would help to lead the eye. You match the fence size to the hill size. There, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. That's just another thing that could help your piece. That's all. But there's nothing wrong with it. So I mean that's fine if that's what you were trying to achieve. That's cool. Um, but yeah, but you see what I'm saying? Um, the different sizes. It's almost like like dominoes or whatever. Leading to the main piece. And your eye starts over here, and it's like, whoa. It's getting bigger. And then wow. Now it's the house. All it is the implied lines. Okay, so now let's move to unity. It's created when the principles of analysis are present in a composition and in harmony. And unity is basically when everything comes together. Everything within the composition. You have everything from proportion to pattern to emphasis to movement. You have all these compositional elements brought to one unity, and it's all unified. And you have that. Okay? Now, now what I would do, um, well, not what I would do, but this is just, um, basically doing like a paint over. Um, this is just basically just giving my opinion. It's a great piece, but this is just all this is doing is saying what I would do if I was, you know, creating it. All right. So first of all, um, so this is basically the critique part. So I gave you all the positives, like on the composition and everything, and you did great. The piece is great. Okay. So don't get that wrong. This is just correcting a few things. All right. All right. So first of all, I would either get rid of this down here, okay, or I would probably make some separation between the pieces because they kind of look like they're with the exception of the rigidness right here. Um, Probably give them some more separation just to give it more depth, you know. So I just take a soft brush, select a color, raise the tone, make it a darker tone, and then just add some shadow, just a little bit of shadow, you know, kind of to break it up a little bit. Just to add some more depth to it. Yeah, just add some more depth to it. Okay. Even throw some shadow down here too in the bottom. Perhaps even take you know, so that way it's not so harsh. And when you're doing shadow, um, like it doesn't have to be so harsh, like um, like right here. It doesn't have to be that harsh. Shadow, it starts, it starts like, like solid, but then as it breaks out, it gets softer. Okay, so this is just a paint over. All right. Okay. So you're still gonna hold the shape of the house. It's just not gonna be as harsh. Okay. The shadow is never really too harsh. All right. So something like that. Okay. And it kind of works over the hill too, as you can see. Plus another thing is um, because you take into consideration the you take into consideration the shape of the heel. Hold on. How the heel is kind of curving. All right. You want your shadow to do that as well. It's not so solid. So you want your shadow, you know, because the shadow's gonna follow whatever it meets. It's not gonna just do its own thing. Okay. All it is it's a copy silhouette of the object. Okay. And you can always go back in and add your texture. So don't worry about if you mess up your texture or whatever. All right. You can always add your texture like on another layer or whatever you want to do. All right. So see, it's got kind of more of a curve going over the heel. All right. And of course, depending on where your lighting's coming from, you might actually add some more emphasis back here too, just to draw your eye more to the house. Put a little bit of light back here. That way, it's not so. I mean, it's a great like fog effect and everything. But you could also add some light, so that way it's not so flat all the way across. Add a little bit more there. Plus, it draws your eye like right to the house. Okay. Might even add some little highlights up here. Okay. The more highlights, the more contrast you have, the better. All right. Okay. Draw less attention from the tree because the tree is kind of it's it's kind of harsh, so it's like it's kind of pulling attention away from the house. And I figure, your house is where your focus is, where you want your focus to be. So, so just kind of run a soft brush over it or whatever. It doesn't have to be harsh. Just slightly do it. Fade this back some. Fade that back. Okay. So that way it's not competing with the house. All right. All right. Now let's go ahead and work on this over here. This piece. You can still have this piece over here. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to it just needs to be cohesive with the rest. Because right now it's on its own island. Yeah, and right now it's on its. Actually, in this grass, you honestly don't need the grass. The grass, for me, it kind of that's actually kind of on its own island too. Um, I really don't think you need the grass. Um, so you can just actually, just shadow this. And if you want to keep the grass, that's fine. Just don't make it, add some shadow. Work on adding shadow to your pieces. And that's going to do a world of difference. And it's going to draw your attention more um, to right here, to the, your focal, the house, where you want people to look, right here. Okay? And same thing over here in the back. Hold on, let me continue right here. The thing I'm trying to get across is you don't want things competing with one another. Because once you have that, then it makes the piece seem stagnant. It makes it seem like it's off balance. Because you have everything, competing with each other. Kind of like the tree in the background, the sky, you know. So that's the main thing I'm trying to get across. Just add some more shadow right here. If somebody was to walk through this field, then honestly, they wouldn't see everything. If you had if you had somebody walking through, and let's say they were right here, um, looking at the house. Hold on. Let's say they were right here looking at the house. Okay? That's where their view is on the house. That's where the eye is viewing. All this other stuff doesn't even matter. It's just going to fade away. This is where their focus is going to be. Okay? So that's how the viewer is viewing this. So all this other stuff, I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter. It complements the actual focus point, is what I'm trying to say. The tree, it compared to this, it doesn't matter. The fence, compared to this, it doesn't matter. This is where you want to put your most detail, which you did. You did that, but you want to put your most contrast, your shadows, everything. You want to put your most attention on this right here. And then start working outwards. Start working outwards to the other stuff. Does that make sense? And the same thing, okay, and the same thing with in the background back here. The furthest things get, just like over here with the tree, the furthest things get, um, the more they fade out. So keep that in mind. And that's what adds to depth. You know, you create kind of like an atmosphere between the pieces. See? And see how much more that puts emphasis on the house? See, the house really, really pops now. And over here too. Like I said, don't go too harsh on the shadows and all that. Um, and even if you want to make the heels pop more, you know, um, add some little contrast with them. You know, add a little bit of light. You know, like once you add the light, and the shadow and everything, then you can go back in and start adding the texture. You know, you don't have to make it so harsh either, unless that's the look you want to achieve. But you just go over it with some lines. You don't have to be too crazy. It'll still be readable. But like I said, unless of course that's the look you're going for. So it's all a matter of prerogative. You just keep on working the lines. See. And I like to do a lot of color picking too. So it'll give you like a more natural feel too. You can grab different brushes. You know, if there's a brush that ain't working. Um, like if you want to do like grass, I like to use this brush for doing like hair. This is a great brush to get like kind of like a loose pointy feeling. The thing is you don't want to draw attention away from your focal though. You don't want to draw away from your house. So you just want to keep it loose. Just keep it loose and suggestive. Just keep it loose and suggestive. And just continue to work your way around and go back and forth. Just go back and forth. All right. Now, same thing here. Just loose and suggestive. Yeah, yeah, sure. Let me do this real quick. Yeah, I can show it to you here, and I can also send it to you. Actually, it's nice to like have the grass flowing because anytime you're working on a piece, you want to try to lead the viewer's eye to the main subject, okay? You always want to try to lead the viewer's eye. See how I have the grass flowing? Um, Hold on. See how I have the grass flowing right here? I have each piece going that way towards the main focus. I have it swerving this way towards the main focus. You want everything to go as much as possible towards your main focus. The more you lead the viewer's eye, the better. Because then they won't get, because honestly, like a piece of art, it only gets like a 4 to 6 second view, if even that. Somebody looks at it, unless they're completely drawn into it, they're not going to be um, really connected to it if there's nothing drawing them in. So you want to draw them in. You want to think of it as your stage. This is your character right here. This is your leading role, okay? The house, that's your leading role. These are all your sub characters, your sub roles, okay? All they want to do is help this one, okay? And you might even have like a secondary, you know, character or whatever. That's how I like to think of it. I like to think of whenever I'm creating something, I like to think of it as, okay, who is my leading character? All right? Whether it's a landscape, whether it's a character, whether it's a actual character, I always like to think of it like that. Who is the leading person, and how can I get the viewer's attention drawn to that? You know, same like in a movie. When a director's doing a movie, they want to get the best shot. They want to fade out everything else. If you watch a movie and you see the person talking, um, they're doing that by you know the way that somebody views something. If you see the person talking, the main person, all the other stuff is blurred out. Okay, see what I'm saying? And your attention is focused on that person, while everything else is it's just complementing it. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. All right, so let me do a side by side view and just show the difference. Let's see. All right, so let's do this. Let's put this one right here, and then we'll put the other one above it. Okay. Okay, so there's the comparison. There were still a few more things I wanted to do, but see, I even brought this out more too. The this hill back here. See, I even brought this out some more. But I mean, there's so much you can do with it. I mean, it's your piece, you know. Um, just keep in mind, all that stuff. Um, Yeah, no problem. No problem. I mean, it's a great piece. Don't get me wrong. It's a great piece. So I'm not, I'm not ever gonna say somebody's piece is awful anyway, because that's not right. But but yeah, I mean, if you wanted my honest critique, then there you go. There it is. That's how I feel that, this piece, could improve. Yeah, we're all here to learn too. Nobody's perfect. Well, I mean, as long as it helps, you can apply it to the next piece that you do. Um, just well, thank you, everybody.